It's Friday, and that means it's time to take out the trash. Brett Ehrlich, it's time to launch a couple of people into the bin. Who's your garbage person of the week?
My garbage person of the week is Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
There he is in full color.
Sort of.
Sort of in blown out backlight. Drew Brees got into hot water for saying this about people protesting during the national anthem.
I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution.
So that he never at one. There's a lot wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
One specifically is if you say that we're all going to stand together, we all need to stand together and be part of the solution. Did he stop for one moment and ask himself, am I part of the solution?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Am I actually
he
concerned about the solution?
Am I doing anything to create a solution? No, he didn't. And that is explicitly what was asked for in that. By people making statements, which we played earlier in the show, supporting why they're doing it. But no, Drew Brees is doing something that I've seen so many people do, which is just sit there and say, what do they even want, these rich football players? Like, well, why don't you just – they've told you. They've told you policy item after policy item. And then just shared their personal experiences. Malcolm Jenkins, who plays with Brees, he said, I'm disappointed and I'm hurt. And he about the points that Drew made about his own grandfathers, shared something with everyone and basically said, hey, my grandfathers fought in that war too. And when they came back, they didn't receive a hero's welcome.
Yep.
And that for so many folks, it just has to say that it has to blow their mind unless their mind isn't open.
Yeah.
If it's open just a crack, when that thought gets in there, they have to come around. And and then Drew Brees came out and said, and he made an apology after he got blowback from LeBron James, from his teammates, from multiple people in the NFL who recently released a video that everybody should go see, just saying what the problem is. And in the wake of the apology, there's some people who said, listen, maybe he's responding to it this way because he just really hasn't had those conversations. But one of his former teammates, made this tweet, and we don't have the graphic, but it's Lamar Lewis, and he said, Drew Brees was once my teammate, had a long intellectual talk with him in the cold tub once. Drew, you're a smart man. This ain't ignorance. This is picking a side and not caring enough to fight for justice because you're comfortable within your own bubble. Silence is murder. And it's not that he hasn't had these conversations. He's made a decision to be on one side. And it's worse because of what sports symbolizes for a city. Like, I think it's a non-zero factor in this that things are worse because there aren't sports, because there isn't that thing that we can have at least a little release on. And it's by no means a large portion of it, but it's there. And at the very least, when there is no sports happening, you would want to count on the sports figures to do something to help save America. And he's just not doing it. Instead, things like this surface. We have this photo of Drew Brees and Donald Trump in not just anywhere, but in a luxury box with the biggest watch I've ever seen. And look at the crap-eating grins.
Yep.
And not only that, but in what city does he play for? New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to, you're born yesterday if you don't think that city needs someone to be a leader in terms of racial justice. Look at me. I'm so upset that I'm
flickering.
I'm falling deeper into the matrix.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Look, I can't say anything about what he's said in the past. Don't follow him because he's an athlete, and so I don't know anything about him. But yeah, no. He knows enough to say, we need to do something else that gets us to the solution. Which is good that you're one of the people that acknowledges that there's a problem that needs to be solved. But it's also possible that what you really want to get back to is the time when you weren't being forced to think about this, when it was comfortable and happy and all of that.
And man, we talked about it on the Happy Half Hour, which everybody should watch tonight, but it's just, it has to matter. I mean, it matters is the perfect word, because it just needs people who have the potential to be like, I'm not affected, so I'm just going to walk away. Like, you have to keep it up until those folks, and more of them are coming around. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a more like cross-cultural series of protests than we have ever seen. So keep it up. Don't stop, because people like Drew Brees, I mean, are already rich and detached, and have had the opportunity to make up their mind about this and factor in other opinions when doing so. And it's years after Kaepernick took a knee.
Yeah.
And I am proud of America that this is a country where he still needs to face it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.